All right, let's jump right in and talk about something that's working behind the scenes every single day to keep our food safe. We're going to demystify a really important global standard called FSSC 22000.
So think about this for a second. You walk into a supermarket, you pick something off the shelf. Have you ever really stopped to wonder how it got there? And more importantly, how it stayed safe? We're talking about a journey that could span thousands of miles, crossing oceans and passing through so many hands: farmers, processors, packers, shippers. The complexity is just mind-boggling, and with that complexity come a lot of potential risks. So how on earth do we make sure that food is safe at every single step?
Well, for many of the world's biggest and most trusted food companies, the answer to that huge question is a system called FSSC 22000. So let's break down exactly what that means.
Okay, here's the key thing to understand. FSSC 22000 is not just a set of suggestions. It's a full-blown, globally recognized certification scheme. You can think of it like a powerful seal of approval that guarantees a company is managing food safety and quality across its entire operation. And what gives it so much weight is that it's benchmarked by the Global Food Safety Initiative, or GFSI. The GFSI is kind of like the organization that sets the gold standard for food safety programs all over the world. That recognition is a really big deal. It's what makes FSSC 22000 so trusted internationally.
Now, a system this robust needs a seriously solid foundation, and FSSC 22000 is built on what you can picture as three strong pillars of safety. Together, they create a structure that's incredibly stable and covers all the bases. So here are those three pillars. First, you've got the base, ISO 22000. This is the management framework. It's the high-level blueprint for how to run a food safety system. Pillar 2 is all about the hands-on stuff, prerequisite programs, or PRPs. These are the specific on-the-ground operational controls, things like facility hygiene and pest control. And finally, the third pillar adds FSSC's own specific requirements. These are crucial additional safeguards designed to tackle very modern risks. Put them all together, and you have one seriously comprehensive system.
Okay, so you might be thinking, wow, that sounds intense. And it is. So why would a company go through all the work to get this certification? Well, there are some very real benefits, both for the business and, just as importantly, for all of us as consumers.
For a business, getting FSSC 22000 certified is almost like getting a passport for the global marketplace. It's recognized by the biggest brands and retailers out there. It makes exporting so much easier. Of course, it also helps them avoid disastrous and expensive food recalls and just generally improves how they run things day to day. But for us, it means the food we buy is coming from companies held to an incredibly high, internationally accepted standard, and that massively reduces the risk of getting sick.
And at the end of the day, all of those benefits really just boil down to this one simple but incredibly powerful idea. This whole system is designed to build confidence. It's about creating trust, real, verifiable trust, between the people making our food and all of us who eat it.
And that trust network is huge. I mean, we're talking about the entire food chain here. It's not just the company that puts the cookies in the box. This standard can apply to the people who make the box itself, the warehouses that store the ingredients, the trucks that move the final product, even the companies that make animal feed. It really is a whole system, farm-to-fork approach.
Okay, so some of you who are familiar with the industry might be asking a very good question right about now. Hey, what about ISO 22000? Isn't that a solid food safety standard on its own? And you're right, it is. But FSSC 22000 adds a critical extra layer of assurance that is just non-negotiable for many.
And this right here is the key difference. ISO 22000 is fantastic. It gives you that solid management framework we talked about. But FSSC 22000 takes that framework and supercharges it. It adds that all-important GFSI global acceptance, which, frankly, is often a requirement if you want to sell your products to major supermarkets. Plus, it layers on these enhanced controls to deal with some very specific and very real modern threats.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at some of these additional requirements. We're going way beyond just preventing accidental contamination here. We're talking about food defense, which is about protecting food from being intentionally contaminated, and food fraud prevention, which tackles things like a supplier swapping out a high-quality ingredient for a cheap, fake one to save money. It also requires much stronger programs for things like allergen management, which we know is a huge concern today. This is all about being proactive in a very complex world. So when you pull all of these pieces together, the core framework,
the daily operational rules, and all these extra modern safeguards, you end up with something much bigger than just a certificate to hang on the wall. What you really have is a system for trust.
And I think the source material says it perfectly. FSSC 22000 is more than a certification. It is a globally trusted food safety system. The keyword there is system. It's not a one-time audit. It's a living, breathing commitment to proactively managing safety every single day. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. Our global food supply chain isn't getting any simpler. In fact, it's getting more complex by the day, with new challenges popping up all the time. FSSC 2200 is a fantastic system for today's world, but it makes you wonder, as technology and trade continue to evolve, what will that next generation of trust actually look like?